So here we have a fragrance by Orto Parisi, and this one is called Coyam. This is one that I discovered many years ago. Of course, the perfumer is Alessandro Gottieri, and I own quite a number of fragrances from this brand. I have Bergamust, I have Megamare, I think it's it is Bergamust, not Bergamask. I always get confused. And this is one that I have been kind of meaning to pick up ever since I discovered it several years ago. And then, of course, this is also, as it turns out, one of the fan favorites from the brand. I've always been a big fan of Nasomatto as well, which is a sister brand. Nasomatto actually came out first, and then they came out with Orto Parisi. And from Nasomatto, I have Duro, Black Afghano, Pardon, Absinthe, Narcotic Venus, the list goes on and on. Fantomas, Baraonda, several bottles of Baraonda. But Orto Parisi is one that I've been wanting to get my hands on, and Coyam specifically is a fragrance that I would not recommend for everybody. I have to be totally honest with you. There are certain people that can pull this off very comfortably, and there's only certain people to which this would apply. So basically, the story behind it goes like this. I tried this many, many years ago. I think I probably procured a sample from Scent Split or something like that. And then I'm in Dubai Mall just a few days ago, and I entered this niche perfumery that had Bodicea the Victorious and Fragrance du Bois and all of these other incredible niche brands. And then I see among them is also Orto Parisi. So I picked this one up and I smell it again, and I'm like, there's no way that a scent DNA like this can be pulled off in Dubai. But I said, you know what? I'm gonna give it a try just because I was feeling crazy that day, and I purchased a bottle for around 200 USD, which I know is a lot of money, and if I looked around, I could have potentially found it online a lot cheaper, but it was just kind of like a spur of the moment decision, and I said, you know what, let me go ahead and pick it up. And so I purchased it at the mall, and I sprayed it on immediately. The entire day that I wore this stuff, and I kid you not, it felt like I had just applied it. And I'm talking 6, 7, 8 hours later, I'm smelling myself and it's like, did I just put this on? This stuff is so brutally strong. There is smoke, there's animalic notes, you have this dark incensey personality. It's very, very spicy as well, which interestingly enough is something that can also be said about Megamare. I think Megamare is a very spicy aquatic fragrance. And I know when people go into it, they think to themselves, oh, it's going to be a fresh scent, it's going to be an aquatic scent, without realizing that the freshness is actually compounded with spices. Exactly which spices, I can't really tell you, but it's actually quite a spicy fragrance, all things considered. It also happens to be one of my favorites, incredibly long-lasting, the longest-lasting aquatic fragrance. And I don't even know if I could call it a true aquatic because it doesn't have, I don't think it has kalone or dihydromercenol or those other ingredients that are found in so many different aquatic fragrances. But truth be told, this is a very different, very bold, confident, scented expression. And I think there are very few people that would actually appreciate a fragrance like Coyam by Orto Parisi. Now, of course, there's also Sturgis and Brutus and so many other darker leaning fragrances from this brand. So I'm not going to go ahead and say that this is the darkest one that the brand has. But in my opinion, I think this one is probably one of the most challenging ones. As far as the animalic notes in this fragrance are concerned, you know, a lot of people think animalic, they think civet or castoreum or musk even. I don't know exactly which of those this has. The only thing that I can say is that it does come across a bit leathery. And so I would probably say leather can be perceived as an animalic note, especially since leather, I mean, literally comes from cow, right? The skin of a cow, depending on the type of leather, I suppose. So maybe the leathery notes are what, you know, people perceive or view as animalic notes in this fragrance. But at the end of the day, this stuff is so strong. It is so loud. I'm telling you, even hours into wearing this fragrance, you're going to think to yourself, I just sprayed this on. It is so remarkably strong. Now, if I were to recommend any fragrance from this brand, it would probably be, for the gentleman, Megamare. I think a lot of people will really appreciate that DNA. I think, the most mass appealing one is probably Bergamust. I think that one is just super safe, very easy to wear. I know some people can view that one as a bit of an animalic composition as well, but in my opinion, it's incredibly safe and very, very easy to wear. But this is one that you're going to check out if you want some of the darker, daring and brooding fragrances that the brand has to offer. Coyam is really at the top of the list. And so I'll be wearing this one a bit. I'm not going to say a whole lot, but I am going to be wearing this one a bit in the fall and winter, especially if I personally feel like I'm in the mood to wear this type of DNA. But interestingly enough, this is quite expensive, despite the fact that it's I think a 30 ml bottle, which is kind of the standard for Orto Parisi and Nasomato. They both fall within that 30 ml range. So I don't know if I would necessarily commit to the purchase of a full-size bottle with it being at $200 for just a 30 ml. The presentation is quite beautiful with this, I think it's probably faux leather. I don't think it's real leather, but with this case, the cap itself is pretty heavy as well. I'm not going to spray it in the room to show you the atomizer because the room is going to smell like it for the next 10 hours. And so I'm going to forego doing that. But if you do want to sample, get yourself one at ScentSplit or something like that. This is Orto Parisi Cuoium. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. It really means a lot. And of course, I just want to conclude by saying that if you took anything of value from today's episode, I would really appreciate it if you would consider supporting the channel by clicking subscribe, hitting the bell, and giving this video a thumbs up for the algorithm. It would really mean a lot. Thanks again for watching. Love you guys. And we'll see you tomorrow with a new episode. Bye.